Call the meeting of the Mitchell County Board of Supervisors to order. Welcome, everyone. We have an agenda in front of us. I'll ask for a motion to approve if there's no changes.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as written. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carried. Item 2, County Attorney General Discussion.
The one thing I had on there is that tax certificate. We've discussed this on and off for several months, discussed it quite a bit 2 weeks ago or also a week ago. Just need some type of a motion to reimburse Sean Ruschel the $871.50 that he paid for that tax certificate.
So moved. Second.
I'll send,
We have a motion and a second to approve refunding of the tax certificate in the amount of $871.50. Roll call vote, Walk.
Aye.
Volklander.
Aye.
Morrell. Aye. Motion carried.
Another issue that's rearing its head again, of course, is the steel wheels thing. What I'm thinking about is, based upon the Supreme Court's opinion, there's going to be quite a bit of litigation in this next round if it goes up on the constitutionality, because the Department of Transportation is now going to be involved. I'm thinking perhaps what the county may want to consider doing is amending the ordinance, so that it reads exactly the same as the Iowa code, just exactly the same word for word. The only thing it would do would increase the fine from, what is it, $10 to the $500, $750, or $1,000, whatever it is that we have now. Because that way, the Iowa DOT, they've told me, if you take it under the state law, we're going to come in and defend. They've already told me that. They will, but they won't defend our ordinance. Therefore, if we amend our ordinance so it reads exactly the same as the Iowa code, because they say we're going to need 2-3 days, on a hearing on the constitutionality, because we've got all kinds of studies. We want to come in, we want to introduce all our experts, because what they're concerned is, based upon the Supreme Court's ruling, now we're going to lose the steel studded tire deal, because they made reference to that. Well, were studies done and all that stuff? And they said, yeah, there were studies done, and we want to introduce all that stuff. So that's my thoughts. I think we should give some serious consideration to amending it so it just reads exactly the same as the state ordinance.
I'm with that.
I'll draft something up. I'll get a copy to you and we'll get on it as quick as we can. That's really all I have, other than, of course, like I said, numerous rumors, mentions of violations of the steel wheel ordinance, but no tickets, no prosecutions.
Back to that steel wheel thing, I did have one of the local area farmers give me a book, that parts book, I guess what you want to call it, but in that book it showed some type of a cleat that they're putting on, like for excavators and stuff like that, so they can unload onto hard surface roads. They're kind of a blue, I don't know what you call them, polymer or whatever, but they're hard, and something like that could easily be fitted on those.
Well, it could, but their religion says that it's got to be the steel that touches the road.
We'll just have a little part.
I think you can only be steel, so.
Well, anyway, there's people out there thinking about it.
Okay. That's really all I have.
On a speed limit, I had a question up at Stacyville. I don't know if there's a sign missing or if one got taken down when they put some tubes in or what, but east of Stacyville there's a sign that says speed zone ahead, and then all of a sudden the 25-mile-an-hour sign is right at the entrance to the park, which is from 55 to bang 25, and I thought maybe we can move it out there. I don't know if that has to be done with resolution or ordinance or Probably more for the engineer
Yeah, you could ask
to him,
him.
but thought maybe you'd both be here at the same time, but I just thought I'd run it by you.
Well, I'll be here for a while.
Okay.
Well, I do have a question. Are you making, Mark, are you making any progress with the issues that Lindsay Falk has brought up?
Yes, I'm going to be getting a letter out. I met with Rich, I met with Lindsay, I met with both of them, and I'm going to get a letter out. And I've also got calls from mayors, and it's our opinion, you know, and we'll get a letter out on it that, you know, here's what the code says. The code doesn't say anything about that being a violation. If it's that many axles and, you know, the 80,000 pounds apply, but there's no axle restriction on that, no weight restriction for, you know, the axle restrictions is what's getting in trouble.
So you're basically saying that the concerns that the folks have will not be a...
On that truck, if they're running it the way Rich showed it to me with those axles and that length, in my opinion and in Aaron's opinion also, it's not a violation of Iowa law. Like I said, you start with the premise that everything's legal. And then the code says these things are against the law. Well, I certainly know what the intent was, but, you know, the law needs to keep up with industry, and it's not, so. We'll enforce the weight limits, but not the axle limits, because there aren't any as far as we're concerned. We'll get a letter to the DNR, we'll get a letter to Falks, we'll get a letter to Mayor and Supervisors and Board of Supervisors on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Item number 3, I guess we can move on to item number 3, recommendation from the selection committee for an architect.
Yeah, the selection committee met last week. We discussed the 2 architects that we interviewed, and the consensus was unanimous to engage FEH Associates Incorporated out of Des Moines to do our designing of the courthouse, I guess is what you want to call it. They had the best program, I mean, I thought. And there's a picture on the door over there of one of their sketches, they called it, not a proposal, not a, you know, it was just a picture for everybody to look at. And I think that's one of the things that caught everybody's eye when we did get the RFPs, is that, you know, these folks were engaged, they were already thinking, you know, they actually read the RFP, I think. So, anyway, with that, I guess I'd make a motion that we engage FEH Associates Incorporated.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to agree with the selection committee for an architect, FEH out of Des Moines, Iowa. Roll call vote, Plander.
Aye.
Bach.
Aye.
Morrell. Aye. Motion carried. We'll move down to the minutes. Everybody had a chance to read it.
I read them online.
Also read them online also.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of July 24th. Roll call vote, Walk.
Aye.
Plander.
Aye.
Morrell. Aye. Motion carried. Item number 7 is a review of offer to purchase real estate. Would this be at the St. Ansgar Industrial Park?
This would be selling the lot that we have back to Tim Schultz and buying the lot that Richie had pointed out that would be adequate, he felt, for our needs. It's a little bigger than what Stacyville is, 2.3 acres. And County Attorney Walk has been working with the St. Ansgar Economic Development Commission on coming up with the offer to purchase. So I guess there's no reason to ask the county attorney if he reviewed it.
Well, I just want to make sure that what you're doing is you're deeding that back to Sinansker Economic Development. Sinansker Economic Development really, I think, has an option with, for John. And then we're gonna get the property from Sinansker Economic Development that we're buying and deed them that piece of property back and whatever the price was, the difference between the two, $3,400.
Well, the only problem I see with this whole thing is that the county put about $10,000 worth of fill on that lot. Now, that new lot we got, I'm to the understanding that that also needs fill, so are they fine with the county taking their fill along with? That's, because I know we talked to the engineer that day, he said they'd have to do some site preparation, and if we're gonna have to haul fill in again, I mean, that,
Well, we could amend this
well, that
to include it.
would be my only objection to it at all. I mean, we did fill that lot did fall off about 15 foot in the back, and
Well, and Richie did explain that we had more than enough fill. I mean, you know.
you're right, it's overfilled.
Yeah, it's overfilled,
Exactly,
so.
and so I don't know what he needs over there, and that's the only thing I'm saying. I think we should be able to take along what fill we need for over that new lot, so. I put my 2 cents in, there you are.
No, I have no argument with that.
Otherwise, I think it's a good move, and it's, you know, it's You already got an option on that lot, huh?
What's that?
You already got an option on our old lot, huh? Somebody wants to buy that?
No,
No,
On the new area that you're talking.
no, really, Sinansker Economic Development does not own that lot that we're buying.
Really, it's in their industrial park.
They told me they don't own it yet.
All right.
see, what they're doing is they basically have some control on it just verbally. But Burjohn's, it's still in the Burjohn name and it stays there until they actually have a buyer.
All right.
And then that's when the transfer actually takes place. And
So then the actual cost of that lot, they would pay the other part. And we'd only pay the $3,400. And it would be our lot.
Right.
Okay.
So I'll add that language in it, that we can take fill from the old lot to fill the new lot.
Because I
Okay.
think that's only fair.
Okay. I'll talk to, I don't even remember who was I dealing with.
Ivan.
Ivan.
I haven't moved.
I'll talk to Ivan on that, make sure.
Is it lot 2, Stan, or lot 1?
I think it was lot 3.
Lot 3. Lot 3, I think.
Lot 3 in the second,
Addition.
This is just me being curious, but why would they want you to build in there? When that's in a TIF district, right? And then you're not paying any taxes.
Right.
Wouldn't they want someone in there that's generating taxes?
I said that from the get-go, but we can't find any other place that's suitable to build, I guess. We had a location south of town and that individual backed out, and then,
But I'm surprised they'd even let you in there, that's what I'm saying.
yeah, the
no, they actually
location.
they want activity in their industrial park. And so they feel that activity breeds activity.
That's the trade-off, get some action loose in town.
It isn't a very big lot.
Well, it is 8:45. And for the public hearing on proposed action to institute proceedings to enter into a loan agreement in a principal amount not to exceed $6.5 million. Supervisors, any?
Well, I've had many comments given to me. For every one that said, tried to renovate the courthouse, I probably had 15 people said that it's time the building is tired and it's time that we look for putting up a new alternative.
Same here.
Yeah, that's pretty much comments you received.
County auditor?
Well, yesterday did receive petitions here, approximately 784 of them. Down here on the table.
Okay. And you're going to review those
Yeah,
next
correct.
week or so?
Yes. 5 days to make sure that they're all eligible voters, eligible electors, and residents and reside in Metro County.
They have to reside in Metro County also.
I could
What
see-
is that?
I could see one that I had questioned whether it resides in Metro County.
What does resides mean?
Yes.
It's a question of
I know
law.
what I think it means, but I'm just curious what the law
Legally?
says. Yeah.
The legal definition of what you call your home. That's what the law is.
I think that's Old Trust Bank.
Okay? I don't know.
Well,
But I can, and the perfect example is someone who lives in Iowa their entire life, goes into a nursing home in Minnesota for 3 or 4 years, still can say, I'm an Iowa resident, even though I may live in the nursing home in Minnesota for 3 or 4 years. I still call Iowa home. And the law is whatever you call your home is your residence. And that's why you end up in court fighting sometimes about what your residence is. But the law is, you know, there's long poetic language about where you return to put your head on your pillow at night, you know.
well,
I know some people go to these states that have no state tax and for 6 months and 1 day or something and claim that as their residence.
Some people will go there for 2 or 3 weeks and claim it as their residence. Put your voter registration card there, your homestead exemption, your, you know, all of your driver's license, your car registration. Have them all registered in that state, you say, that's my home state. And then Iowa comes in and says, no, it isn't, and then they end up fighting whether it is or isn't.
when like a homestead, you gotta live in your primary residence for 6 months out of the year to get homestead.
Well, County Attorney Walk, realizing that this is probably not an area of your expertise, but there was only 447 signatures required to have this reverse referendum placed on the ballot. With over 780 signatures on the petition, can we just accept the petition without reviewing all of them and taking up a lot of time? And
I'm gonna just give you my general opinion. If you just skim over it, unless you see 300 and some names that are obviously wrong, I don't know why you would want to waste the time verifying every signature and every address. And I mean, the
That's what I
board
was
has
feeling.
basically said, if the people want an election, we'll have an election.
Sure.
So why go through the formalities of reviewing everything when the board really has no objection to having it put on the special election? I would just say accept the petition. You don't have the hearing today, and you go to special, you put it on the general ballot. That's my opinion.
do we need a motion to accept the petition, or do we just, is it just accepted?
The board shall either by resolution declare the proposal to issue the bonds to have been abandoned, or shall direct the county commissioner of elections to call a special election upon the question of issuing the bonds. But yours, since you can do it in a general election, you're not abandoning the bonds, so you just direct the county commissioner of elections to put it on the general election.
Can we do that next week?
Yeah, I would do it now. Yeah.
Well, we
I know
don't
there's
have
a
it.
difference.
Right, I think it's not on the agenda, and I think there are documents that
Okay.
you'll want to adopt
Okay.
the resolution.
Were there any comments from the public?
You're gonna let us comment? Yes.
Speak up.
Mr. Chair, I think I would put some time limits in that on,
Right, we'll try and keep it brief because there are a lot of people here today.
There's a sign-up sheet, everybody that wants to speak should sign this.
Oh, well,
Okay.
Okay, we didn't know.
you didn't know that.
Kristen Olenberg has already signed. Could she speak, please?
Okay, certainly, go ahead.
Hi, Kristen Olenberg. I'm with Papa John Law Firm in Mason City, and I'm here today on behalf of the Friends of the Courthouse, who collected the almost 800 signatures. And pursuant to Iowa law, we are now required to put the issue on the ballot in the general election in November, and that's what we've wanted all along, as it should be. Again, we just submit that the board has acted a little too hastily in trying to push the new courthouse forward. There's been no serious thought, much less study or research into the feasibility or the cost effectiveness of potentially renovating the historically significant courthouse as opposed to tearing it down and building new. There have been offers of grant money that would have paid for most, if not all, of the cost of deciding whether that was even feasible, and the board just seems to have ignored the information out there and pushed forward. We don't know if it's feasible to renovate the courthouse, what it would cost, if it would be effective, but you don't either, and we just want the information provided to everyone to make an informed decision. Now, it appears we're going to get what we've wanted all along, that being a vote by all the citizens of Mitchell County as opposed to a decision by the three of you as to a very important issue which is going to affect everyone in Mitchell County for years to come, and which ultimately is going to be paid for by everyone in Mitchell County. However, it seems that the board is moving forward in the direction they want and going ahead before the vote, 3 to 4 months before the vote, and spending tens of thousands of dollars on an architect, and the architects are spending hours upon hours building plans and coming up with proposals when the vote in November may well be no. Are we going to get that money back? Are the citizens of Mitchell County going to get that money back if the vote is no? I don't think so. You're only spending public money to push through the new courthouse plan. You aren't spending any public money to look at renovating the courthouse. Legally, you cannot use public funds to lobby for a specific position, and it's our opinion that that's what's going on by just paying an architect to put out plans for a new courthouse and disseminating those to all the people without looking at the other side of the story. So we just ask that the board quit putting the cart before the horse and quit spending the citizens' money on Plan B when the vote in November may well be for Plan A. Thank you for your consideration.
Ma'am?
Yes.
You said we did not basically do any research in that proper. Did you read the Scott and Anderson report?
Not in entirety, no.
So
But
in
I've
other
looked-
words, you're accusing us of basically not taking full consideration, and yet again, we had a report that we paid that basically looked at both renovation and new, and you're telling me you haven't read it.
We feel that you have not, from a historical standpoint, from a historical preservation standpoint, looked at preserving the courthouse and the cost of that versus what you're pushing for. We feel in a historical preservation standpoint.
So you're saying the Scott and Anderson report is invalid? Is that what you're trying to say?
We're saying that there were grants out there for historical preservation that you did not take a look at and did not.
How many of those grants do we need to go through? 5, 10, 15, 20?
One.
You didn't go through any.
I have to ask too, do you think you would get an unbiased opinion from the state historical architects?
Yeah.
Well, no
Would you
less
get
biased
unbiased?
than an architect that wants to build a new courthouse.
Part of the reason we went with Scott and Anderson is because we asked them two things. What would it cost us to rehabilitate this building? What would it cost us to build new? They brought back their two proposals or whatever, and it was gonna cost more to rehabilitate. Now, if we'd have taken and asked that same question to the state historical people, what would they have told us?
We don't know.
Well, I've asked all these architects that came and toured this building, would we have gotten an unbiased opinion from the state historical people? And they all said, no, you would have gotten a biased opinion.
Well, we do not believe that. And
So,
we just feel that you need to look at all the information
My
out
feeling
there.
is we probably just wasted more money. And I want to ask, how many of you people, raise your hand, how many of these people have ever taken a tour of this courthouse? How many have been up in the attic?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me what you saw.
I saw a historic building that's irreplaceable, that is the third oldest courthouse in Iowa, that is one of the very few buildings in continuous use since 1858, and would be difficult to repair, but it's really possible. I've been in the attic several times, and I saw the history of Mitchell County and its brave pioneers up there.
Yes,
You
Judy.
didn't see anything.
Scott and Anderson never said in their report, and I read it, they never said it could not be rehabilitated. we've had all sorts of people, probably everybody in this room has gone with Dave on a tour of the courthouse, including the state historical architect who and his associate walked through, and Dave showed them everything that was on your photos, everything that was on, that they could see without tearing out ceilings and walls. And they met with the public on many of our meetings, and they said in their opinion they've seen buildings that are much worse off that could be rehabilitated. In their opinion, they thought it could be rehabilitated. I mean, everybody understands there's, tremendous.
But the part
Repair.
you're leaving out is they also said it would still be a dysfunctional building.
Right.
No, well, that's another of my comments, is that I don't feel the three of you really had a vision, really wanted to save the courthouse. If you'd wanted to save the courthouse, I think you could have had a vision to look at how delivery of service could be met if you discuss the issues on delivery of
I
service.
saw Jack Porter's letter the other day in the paper, and we also got a copy here.
And I don't think
And
you ever
his-
had a committee that looked at how service could be
and his
delivered
comment
differently.
was, we could move some of these offices in the courthouse out into other buildings, and so how does that provide function? I mean, I've heard that comment before too. You could put them in a storefront uptown, or,
And have you had a public discussion on how delivery of service could be accomplished, keeping the same square footage of this courthouse? There are many options, and what's gonna happen 2-3 years down the road? Are you gonna need all the square footage that your new building is suggesting? I don't think you're going to, and I think some of the functions could
So we can
be.
look into it too, because we're just going by what the court, Judge Drew's been here, Scott Ham from the judicial, every one of them has gone through this courthouse. They all say the same thing. We got the most dysfunctional courthouse in the 8 counties that they serve.
How many do they serve?
8 counties, I just said.
I keep hearing about the safety of the citizens and the people that work in the courthouse, right? Is that one of your main concerns?
Right.
Safety, is that right?
Partially one of the things.
That's partially. Well, you know what? I don't think that people have to worry as much about that as they do the sign that you have on the supervisor's door over here.
Which
I
sign
think
is
that's
that?
terrible.
What sign is that?
We're not here to
That
talk
gun
about
over
signs.
there.
We're not here to talk about signs.
Oh, yeah.
John,
You're here to listen to a taxpayer of this county.
We're here to discuss the bond issue.
I want to talk about that gun that's on your door.
That's not my door.
It's a supervisor's door.
It's Mitchell County's door.
Well, I'm sure Mitchell County doesn't want a gun on their door. It makes me sick when I look at that.
Take it off.
You see,
Take it off.
I didn't put it on
I
there,
didn't
mister.
either.
And I'll tell you what, we
I
have
didn't either.
shootings all over the United States in courthouses. And it's stuff like that that brings it on.
I didn't put it there.
Now,
Take
you
it
can
off.
laugh it off all you want. And I know, I talked to you the last time I was here. Big deal. It is a big deal. A big, big deal. Kid stuff. Take it off.
Betty?
I had prepared some remarks which I would give to the TV station that's here and the auditor and so on. But basically, many things have been said that I had prepared. But I would like to just say this, that for the past several weeks, ever since the legal notice appeared in the paper, there have been over 20 people carrying petitions around the county, giving people an opportunity to have their voices heard. I want to tell you that it wasn't Friends of the Courthouse specifically that were carrying petitions. In fact, there were many, many people from both sides of the issue that carried the petitions, and all they really wanted was a right for their voices to be heard. And we said, when they came and asked for petitions, we said, hey, this isn't about which side you're on. Build new, tear down, whatever, preserve. Because honestly, you know, given the facts, and I will say that, you know, so far in my going over the minutes, there was $8,500, $5,000 spent Scott and Anderson on a courthouse assessment analysis / new courthouse. There was another $3,500 spent for a needs assessment. Then the Stallsmith from Wallace, Holland, Kassler, and Smiths, of which I would like to ask clarification. At a time I was deleted, but Lowell, thank you, Lowell, went over with me. And what you got from them for $2,377.45 was actually a sheet of paper saying that they would do a structural evaluation of the courthouse, and it would cost, with their contingency fund, $79,040. And at that time, I believe, I don't know which one of you was, but the minutes referenced that you decided not to pursue that contingent upon some grants that you might receive, and that grant wasn't received. However, the grant was received, the state grant and aid, and $10,000 some was spent for Scott and Anderson, the 2 reports, plus the Stallsmith, and actually the state grant and aid would have cost the county for their match $4,683, and I dare say that, you know, the Friends of the Courthouse, I guess I want to tell you, our real intent on this is for you to have all of the facts before proceeding. Do we know whether or not it would cost way more to rebuild? Joe, please, I'm talking. You know, we would not be so foolish as to ask you to rehabilitate something that would be way out in left field. This morning I had a call real early saying that yesterday when we presented the petitions, Supervisor Walk was there and I saw a flash. He snapped our pictures and it said on his Facebook this morning that the 2, Mary Danae and myself, would prefer to rehabilitate at a cost exceeding $5 million. You know, Stan, that isn't true. So please, let's just, you know, get real. But anyway, I do want to say that there are several concerns of citizens that haven't been mentioned. And one of them is the placement of the Veterans Monument. And one is the selection committee. And the selection committee was pretty much made up, it wasn't representative of the county. It was pretty much made up, half of the committee pretty much worked in the courthouse. Joel, Lowell, I believe I was told that the custodian Dave Hartle was on it. And also, the treasurer, Pam, and Sheriff Yonker was on it. And I think, you know, I read his report some time ago. I think he was certainly fair in his assessment. And there weren't many from outside of the city of Osage, 2, I believe, John McKinley and Deanna Eastman. So it wasn't really very representative. Also, there were no veterans on the committee. And I want to just speak briefly about that Veterans Monument. Actually, the Veterans Monument was started in 1997, and it was by a committee made up of veterans of the 5 Legion posts and their auxiliaries, and VFW posts and their auxiliary, the Vietnam Veterans of America, and the Sons of the American Legion. Those people really were the spearheaders for this whole project, and they were the ones that put all the money in to begin with. The money was raised throughout this county by people that had an interest in a Veterans Monument. Not one dime of county money went into the Veterans Monument, the placement thereof. The auditor's office, and Sandra can testify to that, the auditor's office and her employees raised all the money for the flagpole, which actually, you know, you'd think the county did have a flagpole, but pretty flimsy.
We're getting way off the subject here.
No, Bob,
Yes, we
I
are.
just want to finish about the Veterans Monument and the
30
placement.
30 seconds. Please.
And the placement.
30 seconds.
The other thing is you cannot use public money to influence a vote or advocate for a vote one way or the other. So I would say that if that happens, you need to have a committee, no public money, and you need to file a finance disclosure. Thank you,
Yep.
Bob.
Thank you, Betty. Okay, anyone else? What's your name?
My name is Susan Vernal. I grew up in this town. Honestly, this is our county courthouse. It doesn't belong to you three. And
We know that.
I feel that you aren't listening to us because we got almost 800 signatures on the petition. Wouldn't that tell you where's the petition to tear it down? You know, you say you got one call to save it and 20 not to. I don't believe that for a second. And you need to listen to us. We voted you in. You work for us, not against us. We don't work for you. We put you there, we pay your salaries, we pay for this courthouse, we pay for the people who work here. And you don't listen to us. And you better start.
Is that a threat?
No, I'm just saying you better start listening to us. We are the citizens. We are the taxpayers, and we voted.
And it looks like it's going to be on the ballot.
Good. It will show you how we all feel.
I just want to say, contrary to the belief that, you know, a preservation architect would have come in with a small number, I really think that the $5 million was too low. One of the reasons when we had that selection committee, the architect we selected, the county courthouse that had worked with them said they were very accurate in their cost estimate for renovation. I really think that a thorough evaluation of the courthouse by a preservation architect may have come in with a number higher. And you know what, as I told you before, I really do believe that might have helped sell a new courthouse. People would have said, you know, you had it evaluated by a preservation architect. Yes, it can be saved. I've never heard an architect say it could not be saved. The question is, what will it cost? And I just don't think we have, you know, I mean, I asked Scott and Anderson before you hired him at that meeting, I said, do you have any experience in historic buildings? And they said, no. I mean, I'm sure they're good architects, but their website shows all new construction. I think preservation architects who've worked in old buildings, they anticipate those things that maybe they wouldn't have thought about that they're going to have to fix. That's why I think a preservation architect probably would have come in with a higher number than the $5 million. I don't know. I mean, I'm not an architect myself, but I suspect, you know, they have no interest in coming in with a bogus small number because their firm's reputation's on the line. They want to come in with an accurate number, as Dallas County said they did. They said it would cost $11 million. It came in at 10.98, whatever. It was very close. I think, you know, my intent was to get an accurate number about renovation. I think more people would be willing to accept, I mean, myself, I love the courthouse. I can go either way. What will it really cost to renovate it? I just don't think we have that. And what would it look like? And then if people look at that and say, you know, it's too much money, and, you know, they would come up with a redesign. The other reason we selected that architect that you then decided not to hire was that the counties that hired him said they were very good at coming up with use of space in the courthouse to make their courthouse more efficient. We never had a chance to look at that report. People might have looked at that and looked at new and said, you know, we'd rather go with new. I'd like to see the county united around the decision, and I think the best way to unite the county is what it would have been to have the most accurate information. I sincerely, I mean, I know Scott and Anderson did their best on that, but since they haven't had the experience in historic buildings, I think they estimated too low on renovation. That was my own thought. And I think if people saw the real cost of renovation, you know, they might have said, you know, it's time to say goodbye to the courthouse. But we don't know. I don't know that. I mean, I might be wrong too. I'm not an architect. You know, that was my only appeal to you guys. To the best way to unite the community is to get real numbers in front of us. And when I pointed out to you that the grant that I wrote included a needs assessment, and you said you wanted 2 needs assessments. I mean, you hired Scott and Anderson anyway, and for a little bit more than what that you paid them for that needs assessment, you would have had a needs assessment and I think more accurate information on the renovation costs. And that would have, I think, helped unite the community around a decision. I mean, the decision went forward without the information, and I think if you win your vote and you tear down the courthouse, it will be like every other county. You go to Mason City, you go to every other county where they've torn down their courthouse, and 50 years later, people are still upset about it. I think there would have been more chance of uniting the community around this vote if there had been accurate information on the renovation. I just don't think we had that accurate information.
Okay, thank you, Penny.
Danny, you worked with Stan Stolznow quite a bit. I remember back when that all started, and we hired Stan to come over, and I know he was here, and we'd take him all through the courthouse. And then you came up with this idea that possibly we could get a grant to help us with this $79,000 bill that he came up with. What happened with that grant?
Well, I think the reason we didn't get it is the State Historic Society looked at what is, I mean, I think they thought, first of all, that is way too high to do what he said he was going to do. Since they've worked a lot with old buildings, they know some, like, you know, you met with that architect from, I think it was RDG when you walked through. He said, there are structural engineers who I work with who specialize in historic buildings. I mean, they go out, there's no training, there's no class in it, but on their own, they have taught themselves how historic materials work. You know, the whole thing was, I can call them, they can come in 4 hours and give me an accurate analysis. The problem with why we didn't get the grant with Stanley Stallsmith is he asked for too much money, and I think they looked at his experience specifically in what we needed. And most of his experience is with bridges, not that much with evaluating historic structures. So I think we got the other one because it was more directed at.
Resume is familiar with the Secretary of the Interior standards for the treatment of historical properties and guidelines for preserving, rehabilitating, restoring, reconstructing historic buildings.
Okay, I can read those standards and then I can say I'm familiar with the standards, but that's different than applying the standards to historic buildings.
He was the senior architect, or the engineer on the Winnebago County renovation over there.
I don't think that was an evaluation of the entire building.
Tell everybody what we were going to get with that historical preservation grant.
What we were going to get was a needs assessment, we were going to get a structural evaluation of building and a cost and a timeline. And I think the important thing is, I don't think that $5 million was an accurate cost. That was my own opinion.
Well, no, but...
I mean, look, Stanley said almost $80,000. I think, you know, maybe somewhere in between 5,000 and 80. I mean, that was just to evaluate it.
The reason it was going to cost so much is because Stan was going to come in, and we couldn't see what the stairway and how it was framed. So he said we were going to have to hire local contractors to come in. They were going to have to cut holes all over this courthouse so they could actually see the structure.
But remember the guy from RDG said?
The guy from the State Historical, they weren't going to do that. They were going to give us a 3-ring binder in the end for $14,000 with a, no, you need to do this, you need to do this, and you need to do this, with a lot of pictures, just like the one you showed us from
No, but that was a
Dallas
different kind of
County.
report.
That cost them $70,000.
No, but that was a different, that was not the kind of report.
You're saying we weren't going to get a 3-ring binder?
No, we weren't, that wasn't the kind, that was a different kind of report. The report, this would have been evaluation of the structure and a cost and a timeline, exactly what we needed. An accurate cost. I don't think $5 million was accurate. My own opinion, I don't know.
Oh, every architect I've talked to that's come through here said exactly the same thing.
Right. And I think if we
They said
had an
with
architect,
5.3, you're going to want to put on a 40 or 50% contingency on that, and they aren't sure that would cover it.
that's why architects that have specialized in historic buildings, they're going to know a little bit more accurately, okay, no, it's, because they run into those problems in other buildings, so they can say, no, it's going to cost, if we'd had an accurate number, but we don't have that now. We just don't have it. We don't know. I could be wrong. I'm not an architect. I might suspect it, you know, but I don't know. Until we have it evaluated by a preservation architect, we don't know.
Well, I thought Stanley would be
Anybody
a lot
else?
better.
Penny, aren't we forgetting too that the state was gonna reimburse us 1/4 of the cost as long as
Well-
all the guidelines were
No,
met?
no, it would have been,
That's-
there would have been a cost of 4,000, whatever. There would have been a cost associated with that grant.
And they would have paid us.
No,
reimbursed us
the whole
1/4
grant was
the cost of the
$14,000. The county's cost was,
No, I mean, what, if we rehabbed the courthouse, the state would have reimbursed us 1/4 of the
Well,
cost of rehabbing
if
we met the guidelines.
well, it's not that easy. If you chose to go that way, there's grants you can get. There's a possibility of tax credits, which
Right.
Davis County has pursued, but that's a lot of work. I'm not saying it's impossible. It would have been a lot of work, and people would have had to decide, is it worth it or not? But we don't know what the cost is, really, for rehab. That's all I'm saying. We don't know the real cost.
But building a new one, we get absolutely no money from the state.
No.
Okay, anybody else?
Yes, I have a question for the three of you. You have voted today to hire an architect 4 months in advance of the election, 3.5 months. Why? Why are you going before we see how the people feel? And what kind of money are you going to spend, and where are you going to get it before the bonds are issued, if your side should happen to win? Why have you done this? This is a democratic society, a democratic vote. And I'd like to know why you hired an architect and are planning to spend money before, with this architect, before the vote.
The council said we can't do
your counsel said you could?
Right.
You mean your legal counsel?
Yes.
Is that true, Mr. County Attorney?
I don't think you're referring to me. but-
No, it doesn't.
Oh, really?
Oh, you're referring to your bond counsel.
Right.
Your bond
As long as
counsel
everything's
said that,
factual, we can do whatever, and we can continue on our process.
and is that your feeling about democracy? That because the bond counsel, for heaven's sake, said that
Well,
you...
Mary, how did you suppose the three of us got here if it wasn't through democracy? We were voted here.
Right, but we're having a legal vote with everyone in the
will.
county, and you're
And we
going to
will. This
spend
fall,
money.
it'll
What
tell
if
the-
we win?
It'll tell the story, I guess.
Exactly, how are you going to do with the plans you've already got?
What plans?
I
And the
mean,
money you've spent.
the money you've spent with the architect.
We've been spending money right along on all this studies.
No, this isn't a study. You've hired an architect to design a
Right.
courthouse. And is that going to start right away?
Good.
It could. Well, will it?
Depends on their schedule.
Oh, my God.
So you are going to
They're
spend money
they're gonna
towards
come,
the
they'll
vote.
come and they'll do charrettes. I don't know if any of you know what that is, but it sounds like they will get the different departments in and go through and basically do the study and needs themselves again and see how the courthouse works, what's all going to be here. They will be working with Scott Hand and of the, what's his, judicial administrator or something like that.
Would it not make sense to do that after November?
Why delay it?
Because you might.
We're laughing at you.
Justify thousands of dollars?
Wow.
Because the
There's not
vote
gonna
may
be
no.
thousands and thousands of dollars.
So, what if your vote fails? What if you cannot issue the bonds? Then what? You would have spent all that money, which you're getting where? Where are you getting the money? To pay for this? From TIF? No, I don't think so. You're getting it from our real estate taxes, right?
No, actually it's TIF.
It's TIF? You're getting the money from TIF? Oh, how is that working?
Works fine, why?
I beg your pardon?
It works fine.
No, I mean, how do you get the money for TIF to
Because
pay?
if you remember, the county put all of its properties in the TIF district. We're all in the urban renewal. You're
Right.
sitting in an urban renewal district, so we can use TIF dollars for any
But
purpose there.
What if you can't issue the bond, you'll have plans for a new courthouse?
Well, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
And you don't see a problem with the democratic thing you're doing? And you're
Do you
using
see a
TIF.
problem? We may, what if we have to move out of this courthouse in a couple of weeks?
Are you planning to?
No. No. But what, like I always said, one more thing falls off this building, we will be moving out.
Well, that's true of all our houses too, I mean, that's.
Well, I don't think any of
Again,
you people
I'm
live in a
finished
house that's
talking,
built
I'm
constructed
saying
like
you're
this
going to use
courthouse,
TIF
but
money, and you're going to
we can
use-
argue this forever and
Right.
ever and ever.
And you're going to use TIF money, and you're going to proceed as if you're going to win the vote. And if you don't
Glass is
win
half
it,
full in my life.
I beg your pardon?
The glass is half full in my life.
And if you don't win the vote, you're just gonna say you're sorry that you spent all that money?
No.
You're not even gonna say you're sorry, okay. Thank you.
Just, Mary, stay tuned.
Do you have a clue in terms of dollars for this architect? Just base,
They were the cheaper of the two. Theirs were about $100 per hour less for their principal architect. I think it was like 145. The OPM was like $235 an hour. OPN was 8 1/4 to like 8 3/4% of the whole total.
but when you get to the point in November or some point where you have some preliminary plans or some kind of
Plans
plans.
won't be done until after the vote.
Okay, so you really don't have a,
I think, but if I understood it right, what they said, what they were going to do is they were going to basically proceed, get an idea of what the county needs, but as far as the design and specifications and things like that would not come until after the vote.
okay, and you don't have a
they're not gonna put a lot of money into this right out the gate. I mean, you can see they gave us a little picture there the other day, and, you know,
But we have no real, what would be your best guess in terms of dollars?
for what?
To just get something,
Well, they really didn't say. Maybe they were gonna do it free gratis, I don't know. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I think they feel too that, you know, we're probably gonna go forward, we're gonna do something here, but.
okay. I was just curious, because you have no, sometimes when you start on something like that, it's this much an hour, and
Yeah,
you,
and they all have that. You know,
Yeah.
they all have their hourly rate and the fee for the total project, but they all also said in their RFPs that that's all negotiable if they got the RFP or got you know, got hired. So we'll see.
but it all comes down to a percentage of the total thing when it's done.
For me, it all comes down to safety
Okay.
of this people in this building and anywhere else. And
Do you plan to have on hand a project manager when the project moves forward in the building itself? Because I think that's very important, and there is a cost involved in that. And
we're looking into that
I
also.
understood by someone that had been at the meeting that you thought that would be too costly, Joel, to have a project manager?
We looked at them all. No, we didn't say that. We said we would look at that also.
And you mentioned just now negotiating that cost was negotiable, so does that mean, I think those architects, was their fee 8.5%?
No, that was OPM. We took the
Oh, that was
lesser
OPM.
of the two.
What was the percentage for FEH?
7 1/4, 7 3/4. If I don't have it in front of me, but that's what I remember.
But it could be negotiable?
That's what
And so.
the line after that.
Who would negotiate that?
What?
The three of you, the cost?
Well, I suppose, yeah.
Well, I didn't know if the committee, the selection committee was part of that or what, so that's what I'm asking.
Who was on that committee when they did the jail day? Or when-
I don't know, I wasn't here
Oh,
when
you
they
weren't
did the
here.
jail. No, I was not.
Okay.
That was after my time, Joel, and I
Okay.
think it was in
Who was
between
on-
me and Stan, wasn't it, Stan?
Were
Stan
you here
wasn't
when
here?
they put this edition on then?
Yes, I was.
Okay, who was on the committee then?
We had a Jean Gerlach, on the committee itself. You know, I don't recall, but there was a selection committee because they said there was a need for
So you
this.
three made the decision.
It was for an addition, not a
For an
demolition.
addition, yeah, for an addition. Space needs,
Pretty good sized
space
addition.
needs, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I could show you a few things on that edition too.
Okay, is there anybody else that wants to speak? Deal.
Yeah, well, thanks, Bob. I have no opinion about whether we got a new courthouse or fix the old one. I'm completely undecided. I picked up about 30 signatures of just my neighbors and friends with very little trouble because they all felt there ought to be a vote on it. I'd like to touch just a bit on the TIF issue. You know, if I had $1,000 in my right-hand pocket and $1,000 in my left-hand pocket, if I spent either one of those $1,000, it's taxpayers' money. If I'm the taxpayer, what I am, there's no difference between TIF money and your general obligation bonds. It's all taxpayers' money. The only real difference is most of it comes from the wind turbines that are located in the Riceville and St. Ansgar School District. So they would pay a disproportionate share of the money, but it's still all taxpayers' money, any way you want to cut it. Now, I know Stan argues about that, but I can tell you, I spoke with the Legislative Service Bureau, you know who those folks are. I spoke with the Department of Management in Des Moines, and I spoke with Dave Swenson, who was the economist at Iowa State, who came to the Joint Committee on reforming TIF during this last year. He spent an hour testifying before those folks. The House, Republican-controlled House, actually passed a bill that would remove you from being able to even TIF wind turbines because they believed it was unfair. Came to the Senate, and by one vote, it went the other way. Obviously, the governor is for changing it also, because he recognized the unfairness of it. If he wasn't for it, the Republican-controlled House would not have passed it. So, but it's still all taxpayers' money, no matter, there's no free money out there. It comes from taxpayers.
You're right, the government has no money. They have nothing except what they take away from you or me.
Well, it's $700,000 for us in Riceville and St. Andrews School District every year, and another $475,000 from the state for tipping these wind turbines. That's what it is. And that goes on for 25 years because you got the money spent already.
25, 20, I think, 20.
No, 12.
12.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're down to, they'll be done in 12 years.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah,
But there'll be more roads.
June of 2021 will be the first one, and the second one will be June of 2022, the second one. Not that it matters, but that's the timeline.
But if next year you spend more money, you could extend it another 20 years. Who knows? Did all the things you wanted to do, you'd already be there. The
Was
gas
that
line and
just for the roads, Bob?
Excuse me, what's that, Betty?
Those two were for the issue for the roads, is that correct?
Correct, those were
Okay.
for the
Would
tip
have
for the
nothing to
roads.
do with the other, with any new.
Right,
Thank you.
this was just the roads, just an update. Anybody else? Okay, I guess we can close this public hearing at 9:28. County engineer, is county engineer here?
Yeah, he's out in the hallway.
Rich?
I was just, if I could, Rich, could I just ask one question
Yeah.
before you? Jeff Heil called yesterday, and he was wondering, is the board ready to proceed with the first bond issue for Bayland? Because the development agreement has been executed. I have the copies back. We are doing it in two pieces, as you know, tax exempt and taxable. And so originally, the goal was to do that in September. The pretreatment agreement is still up in the air. However, that's really on operations. You've committed to the construction of the projects, but I wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page with the chance to start working on the first piece of bond.
Yeah, we've got it.
Okay. All right. Then I will have that discussion with him, and we'll be back in touch.
Okay, thanks, Kathy.
Thanks,
Yep.
Kathy.
See you next week.
Rich,
Good morning.
good morning.
No, not my brother. Got a lot of that this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Just our standard stuff today. The rock run is run through Grundale Quarry. I think they'll be done today out of Grundale and head over to Dino Quarry and into that area. Yep, on the rock run. I met with a company yesterday, Bargain Incorporated out of Minnesota, who's in the area doing some joint sealing. They had given me a quote early on in the spring about doing some joint sealing. He actually ran our blacktop roads, and I think I'm going to try. I met with him yesterday, and I think I want to try some of his services. That road from Otrano, from the state line south to 105, and then from 218 into Otrano. We've got thermal cracks right now, and there's no sealing on those cracks, so we're just going to keep getting moisture in there. And I think that
Say that again.
from the state line south, it's S70, from the state line to 105 through Otrano.
That's a fairly good road.
Right, but we've got some thermal cracks that aren't sealed, and
Okay.
I'm trying to pick a road that's not going to cost me a lot of money to try this maintenance technique on.
Okay.
And then from 218 into Otrano.
Sure.
They're starting to show some distress with some cracks, thermal cracks, which you're going to get anyway, but if we can seal them, keep the moisture out, I want to see how long we can make this thing last before we have to resurface again. It's funny how from 218 to Otrano, we've got more of a longitudinal center line issue. From the state line south into Otrano, we just have our standard thermal cracks. From Otrano south to 105, we've got more of a thermal crack, but I think we've had heavier loads and it's starting to depress those joints. So he's going to do a pro bono little project for us where he's got 4 of those joints that he'll try this new technique on. Not a new technique, it's kind of an overbanding where they'll fill in that depression a little bit, and it'll kind of keep the impacts from making that joint worse. So I've opted to give him a try and see what he's got. He's got a project going right now in Fayette County I'm gonna try to hit today if I can. It's called Replay, where they try to seal the surface to keep the salt and sand and stuff out, and seal joints as well. So they're doing a stretch of that. The county engineer over there wanted to do a larger stretch of road, but for the time being you can only afford to do the center line. So I want to see how that process works. Maybe it's something we can utilize up here to try to preserve some of our newer asphalt roads and kind of extend them a little bit. You know, we're talking $20,000 roughly to do Otranto area there, but $20,000 spent now maybe gives us 5-6 years on that road yet or more. So if I can head off some of the detrimental effects now, maybe we can give some more life to the road. We're going to probably be doing something like that. The bridge on Timber is removed. It's gone. We're getting it ready for the pipe. The pipe are ordered. Hopefully they'll ship them next week. We have to get the crane and everything ready to go. But
Timeline.
once the pipe are in here,
End of August.
well, we're hoping. I guess that we got to coordinate with the pipe supplier yet to see when he can get them here, because we actually got 65.5 foot lengths. We're going to skew that because that water's been coming in and swirling underneath that bridge and scouring it. But if we can, we're going to align that channel in the right of way there to get the water to come straight through. So that'll help. So, all of our job applications are in. We're now in the review process, so hopefully in a week or two we'll get people into interview. I have to talk with Mark yet on these weight limit things we've been dealing with, but I'll catch him later. I think that's everything in a nutshell. We did get some information back from Diamond Mowers. Still trying to evaluate what they're proposing. They had given us, they had stopped in and talked to me when I was in Worth County, and we kind of discussed the needs of what we might need or want. And right now he's quoted me, and I don't know where, he's quoted me a new 2012 Massey Ferguson tractor, which I don't know who services Massey Ferguson, but he just threw that out as an example of here's what it could cost. We've got the tractor there now, if you want to put a mower on it, whatever. But the mower itself, we talked about maybe having a tail dragger on the back, but maybe after further discussion, how much does that really cut? I mean, that's a 50-inch wide deck on the back cutting 2 feet of grass. I mean, it's almost kind of pointless to spend that kind of money on something when we already have one. So, not to say that you still couldn't use that on blacktops, but anyway, he was.
Can they offset that tail dragger?
That tail dragger is offset.
It is offset already.
And what usually happens is it's usually cutting the grass, the back tire's running over, so it
Yeah,
can't hardly pull it
it's
up.
already down before you pull it up.
Right.
Okay.
So it does a really good job, the one we have, but do we need to have 2 of them set up the same? We could probably get by with another side mount and still be able to mow the blacktops with it. So, but he quoted me $14,652 just for the side mount, which, comparing what we've spent in Worth County on a half a batwing mower, it's pretty reasonable when you figure that's a hydraulic operated machine. So the tractor was $66,500.
Is that the Massey?
That's the Massey, and I'm still trying to think. We spent 60. I don't remember now. It was right around that same amount, 69,000 or something for the John Deeres. So I mean, it's a fairly, but
It's in the ballpark.
yeah, but I don't know. You know, he's got some things here. I haven't looked at all the specs on what the tractor is compared to the one we have, but there's still some things we need to look at. They just wanted to throw something out there to give me an idea of what I need to budget for. So that's where I'm at with that.
Those disc mowers,
Yep.
they look just like a little disc out
They're-
on the back.
They're a 3-point. They're more like a hay mower, but yeah, it's a 3-point out the back with an arm, and on that arm are the one we're renting one now, and on that arm are
Disc.
seven discs. Each disc has a little blade on it. The blades are about that long,
Okay,
They
so
spin.
that
and they
wasn't
spin
like-
at a high RPM.
I must have saw one of those things that they pull the gravel back up.
Oh, are you talking like to reclaim our shoulders? Yeah, that's Worth County has one of those discs that we reclaim our shoulders. We share it back and forth. So
Not the same thing.
no. But we're getting pretty well caught up on the gravels now with that. We rented a disc mower last week from Gordy's, and it's been cutting it down at least to get the tops knocked down. And since we're caught up again, we'll try to get another round started soon. Anything you have for me?
Anything for getting gas in out there yet for you? Or?
they've got some stuff located. They were out locating, so we've got our all the tanks were moved.
Yeah, they're all hooked up out at County here.
So
They're situated on the east side of the big tank.
yeah, we sent out quotes for plumbers to get the gas lines figured out at the shop. But I think OMU's gonna actually run the lines from the ditch to the building, because they'll have to meter it anyway. So
Right.
they'll have to install a meter.
Yeah.
I was traveling down Orchard Road yesterday afternoon and turned off there at the church to go down March. And there's that, little jog where you come back on 340th there in front of the church.
Mm-hmm.
I looked down the ditch, there's a sign laying down in there, a post is snapped off. I couldn't,
Okay.
it was laying face down, so I don't know what kind of sign it was, but it's down.
Okay. Those guys go with
The
that.
fill that we hauled up to St. Ansgar, about how much of that do you think you would need on the other lot? Any idea?
No, I haven't looked. In fact, I'll have to dig through my paperwork and see. I know I had Roger Mayer go look and see what he thought it might take to fill it. So I know he's got a surplus set in there. So I think we probably got at least 2 foot built up higher than the driveway, just because it was good material and we wanted to keep it. But I don't know the actual cubic yard. I haven't ran the numbers on the topo.
Also had a question posed to me at Stacyville,
Mm-hmm.
east of town by the park.
Yep.
There's a sign right at the entrance to the park, 25 miles per hour.
Okay.
About a quarter mile east, there's a sign that says speed zone ahead. There's nothing in between. And people that are out walking to go to the park and things, they would like that traffic to slow down before they like that 25 mile per hour. I don't know if we have to.
They want the sign pushed back further, or is
They
this?
want to push further east, or should there be another sign bringing them down to?
There's a lot of
from
places that are
55
like
to
that.
25 bang, it just seems kind of.
And I don't know if that's. I gotta figure out whether or
And I
not.
wondered if there was a sign that was taken out when they did that culvert work and not put back up, because it just seems to me that it's unusual to see going from speed zone ahead, bang, down to 25 anywhere. Usually
Do we have
they
that
down-
same? We have that in. Is that the same way in McIntyre too? Does it go that quick? Seems like it does.
I'm not sure. I'd have to go up there and look, but this, it's by the park, it's a
Yep.
real safety issue.
Because you got the curve there too, and
Yeah, it's a safety issue for anybody walking to the park, and a lot of people do that.
yeah.
And with their dogs and kids.
I'll take a look at it and see what
Bikes and,
may have been there at one time, or
yeah, I don't know if you have any record of anything, but take a look and see what we have.
okay.
Anyway,
Hey Bob, as far as I remember, there's no other sign
never
ahead of
had
that
another sign out
25
there?
zone, no.
Okay.
When the bridges are done, there was no sign there before.
Okay, that's right, you lived there, so.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we gotta get that sign out further east, probably 100 yards at least.
Or maybe do an advance notice that it's speed
Or-
zone ahead, 25 mile an hour speed zone ahead. At least
Well,
people can see.
there's a sign out there by Cruzy's place, or it used to be Cruzy's.
It says speed zone ahead, but it doesn't tell you what it is.
Right.
They make a sign now where you can, it's a diamond sign where it has an arrow and it says 25 miles an hour, and then it shows ahead, so.
Yeah, it
It
needs
would give
something.
people something to know what it's gonna be before they get there.
Yeah, I think you'll agree it needs something out there for the safety.
I'll take a look at one of those speed
Safety
zone
of the people.
25 mile an hour ones ahead and see if that don't help.
Okay. Those are the two issues I had
Okay.
come up.
Why don't you give Galen Barker a call just on the New Haven Road?
Okay.
I think you can catch him up at St. Ansgar, most of the time at the Chevy.
Which New Haven Road? The new
The
one?
north-south, yeah.
Okay.
On Underwood?
The The new overlay?
Or not New Haven, I'm sorry, Little Cedar, I meant Little Cedar. We
Oh,
talked
okay,
about that
that's what,
yesterday.
yeah, I was gonna say, that doesn't sound right.
No, I'm
I was
sorry.
gonna say New Haven's all new road. Last year.
The north-south Primrose.
Yeah.
Alright.
Although
Alright. Well, I'm gonna go see, I'm gonna call ahead before I,
you're getting other bids on tractors, right?
not yet, but I will.
Not yet, but you will.
Yep. Yeah, we're not gonna go with just, I know what that one costs, but like I said, I'm looking at,
Who's got that now?
that's Diamond Mowers, and they're in Sioux Falls.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I don't know,
it's
even
kinda hard to get service.
You know, they tell me, what they told me though is it's the same as a Cat Challenger, same engine.
Hard to get service around
Perkins
here.
engine, only Caterpillar puts a Caterpillar tag on it.
Hard to get service around here and parts for Massey.
Right, well, that's what I told them that too, and they said that they would talk to Cat in Mason City to see if they would service that, but I think we could find in-county
You got
tractors too.
Case IH, Ford New Holland Ford or whatever it's
Yep.
called anymore, and John Deere.
Yeah, there's options here in the county too.
Yeah, local.
Okay,
Alrighty, thanks, Rich.
have a good week.
Carpenter Lagoon update, Mark Ross.
Well, the lagoon itself is operating fine. I was able to get some liability insurance for myself for contracting up there. I left a copy with Lowell there. And so we're ready to go forward with that. That's all right. And they even had a insurance that was catered specifically for wastewater water operators. So that was good. I mean, it actually has spill coverages and all sorts of stuff like that. So now we have 15
Mitchell County Army is correct.
up to $500,000. I think, right? I mean, that's what the coverage is.
Check with Harlan on that.
Okay.
Because I think that they, one time said they wanted all contractors to have $1 million coverage. And then on that document, would have to say holds, indemnifies Mitchell County. You know, holds Mitchell County harmless for anything.
Yeah.
I'll check with Judy.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay. There's 15 pumps, spare pumps that we have up to Carpenter. 10 of them are those new ones, the 3 original spare ones, and we have 2 of them that we've pulled out of abandoned houses instead of leaving them sitting inside there. 7 of them are right now in need of repairs. 3 of them I know are the old bad switch, so that won't cost us nothing to get those fixed, but the other 4 probably will because we're beyond our warranty period. At any rate, they cost $45 each to ship down there and $45 each to ship back up, so I'm waiting until I have to go down to Des Moines or somebody else has to, and we can send them down there with them versus spending all that money shipping. So we have spares to get us by in the meantime, and they seem to not be going down as fast as they have been in the past, so we should be good for a while.
How did it change one? Seemed you.
I mean, last year it was, a couple of months.
Yeah, I mean you were right,
Yeah.
going right along.
Since then, it's slowed down quite a bit. This summer, maybe changed 3 or 4 of them, maybe. So, talking to the guys who work with these pumps, they say when you got 60 pumps, you can expect 4 or 5 a year to go down for varying problems. So that's probably the average. What was it? Oh, the tractor. Yesterday I was up there and I was going to go out and mow some of the weeds down, and didn't start. And I came back to Osage and got my battery jumper and went back up there, and the battery post was all corroded up really bad, and I cleaned it off, and it was loose on there. I don't know if that was the problem.
That happens.
At any rate, it's way down in there. I didn't have any tools to work with. I'll see if it's, I mean, it was so corroded up that it's actually eaten away some of the metal. I don't know if we've got enough left on the clamp there to hold it. If not, we'll have to put a new one on there. I can either do that or get Teets to do it. I don't know if that's still under warranty or not. Anybody got any idea?
I don't know, you'd have to ask him. I don't know what kind of, is that Mahindra? Is that a Mahindra?
Mahindra, yeah. I don't think they charged us for, you know, a couple weeks ago when we had the hydraulic hose break. I didn't.
Yeah, I mean,
did you see a bill on that?
Yeah, give Mark a call.
I don't recall seeing.
Give Mark a call and find out.
I'll find out where we're at.
Some of that minor stuff usually isn't, but
Yeah.
you never know. He might do it out of the kindness of his heart.
He might, yeah. I'll stop
He's a
by
good guy.
Yeah, I'll stop by the shop and see what he has to say about it. I can't really think of anything else about carpenter. We should be good up there for a while, aren't we? Unless you guys got any questions about it?
As long as it's running good, that's good.
Yep. No problems are good problems, right?
Yeah, no news is good.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I got.
Thanks, Mark. So down to number 9, items of note. Meetings attended.
I had none.
CSS meeting, Pocahontas, long trip. More counties coming on.
Pocahontas with mental health.
No, it's CSS.
See,
County Social Services.
County Social Services.
That was
More county, how many we have?
well, yeah, we're getting up to 18, but then he's talking about Calhoun and Webster. Fayette. I think there was some talk about Webster's coming on, I think, already.
Yeah, I think there's an
I gotta get
email,
one
there's something
of those
for us
maps
to
of Iowa
sign about
and do the boundaries. And,
for that 2080, so each
Yeah.
time somebody comes on, we have to
yeah.
re-sign.
But the thing of it is, like all these counties, you know, portion of them or part of them, they're in the service area. You know, I mean, it's like Fayette County, you know, fairly large county, but the southern part of that county probably uses Blackhawk County for their mental health, you know, services more than the northern part. So, but they're just talking. It's nothing set in stone, you know. And that's the way it's been all along on this. I mean, it's where you get services. Well, then you really kind of want those folks in your plan.
Are these
in your
counties
region.
pretty much contiguous or all up
They are
together?
so far, yeah. Anyway,
I had a North Iowa Vocational Center Marketing and Public Relations Committee meeting. Just an update on some of the donations and grants that were awarded. United Way came through with $38,900 for work skill development. It's the largest ever donation from them. They also received a large donation of merchandise and fixtures from Shirley's Attic, which went out of business, moving out of state, I guess. Let's see, they're doing some action coaching at the Affordable Store. The guy's donating his time and education to that cause. Under financials, lost about $18,000 last year, which, all things considered, is not too bad. The work center is slowing down and they have cut some hours. They are getting some assembly and packaging and scanning work with Armor, Eternity Wireless, and Curry's is trying to get them to develop a cardboard pallet. They're just having a pilot project with that. It seems to be quite a difficult process.
yeah, I don't want to put anything heavy on it. Yeah, if you want to put anything heavy on it.
Yeah, yes. I don't know. Sherry was saying that it's a difficult thing to build, and it's a pilot project right now. Job development, they've placed 61. They've had 61 placements for the year, fiscal last year, and they've established the new partnerships with Target, Super 8, Dairy Queen, and a cleaning service over there. just other than that, it was just some updates on what they're doing for advertising and planning for the new year. The Labor Day celebration will be held on August 30th, which is a Thursday night. A picnic for everybody and a disc jockey for the residents. That was the only meeting I had. Item B, manure management plan update.
I just have one this time from Larry Beeson in section 11 of Union Township.
Okay. Looks like we've crossed off everything. Anything else for the good of the cause?
Yeah, you're gonna be gone next week?
Going on the honor flight. I got
Our, we normally have a policy, we don't discuss anything controversial in that, but do you have any problem if we set the date for the,
Hearing.
for the petition? I mean, for the vote.
No,
For
no,
the
I
vote?
don't, and if you need to call me. I'll carry my cell phone all the way out to Washington DC.
But,
Can you use that on the plane?
Hmm?
Can you use that on the plane?
No.
But they did on 9/11.
Yeah, I know. What a special circumstance.
When we touch down out there, it's only an hour and a half flight. We leave at 7 a.m.
Oh, okay. So don't call you before 9:30.
So 101,
Well, yeah, when you're
101
gonna,
Vietnam Purple Heart veterans are on that flight. I think there's I forget how many total veterans. Not very many World War II veterans left, but
yeah.
we had our pre-flight meeting last night over at Mason City Airport. So there's 101 Purple Heart Vietnam vets on that flight. So
Well, if something comes
Looking
up, we
forward
can
to
sure
it.
try to give you a call if we have to.
I have a request to ask of the supervisor, and I didn't know how to go about it. Do I need to be put on the agenda for a meeting?
just go ahead and speak your piece. What do you need, and we'll decide.
Okay, I'm Shirley Lister. I live across the street on the corner. It's about the spotlights at the front of the courthouse. They used to be a nuisance, shining in my bedroom window at night. Well, I've got some blinds now, so that's not so much a problem. But every time I look over there, especially in the middle of the night, I think, what a waste of money. This happens to be a very quiet neighborhood at night, and there's hardly any traffic to speak of, either on 5th Street or State Street. So every time I look over there, I think somebody is wasting a lot of electricity or money paying for the electricity for those spotlights. And so if it was up to me, I wouldn't have them on at all. But I would like to request that maybe they be turned off at 9 o'clock at night.
Well, that's just about when it's getting dark now, so.
Well, now, yeah, well, that's just it. In the winter between 6 and 9 o'clock, yes, that's fine. But still,
I agree
I
with
mean,
you.
I don't think you know how little traffic there is, how
Oh.
quiet this neighborhood. It's altogether different than what it is during the daytime. And that's just been my concern for some time. That
Sure.
I don't know if the county's paying for the electricity or the utilities. I don't know who pays, but
We pay for it.
County
Pays
does.
for it.
And really, it is a waste of money. Now, if the courthouse was on Main Street, it'd be altogether different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of traffic up there, people going by, but
I was really
really,
looking
there's-
at putting them on a timer.
anyway, so
Well,
I
they
just-
are on a timer, yeah.
I
What
just
time do
wanted,
they
yeah.
go off?
Oh, no, I mean, it is a.
I think they go off at daybreak,
They go off at daybreak.
probably about
They
5
could
in
be
the morning, I'm
adjusted
not
with
sure.
seasons,
They're on for a long time and it just,
but I think there's more lights there than was really necessary.
so I just wanted to bring it up for your consideration.
Okay,
That was
Thank
done
you.
by a
Thanks,
different
Shirley.
group.
May I speak to that, because I am in the Washington building, and what we have found is we've had to put way more lights up, because we've got broken windows by vandals all the way across the back. And it's cost much more than $1,000, the damage that's been done. So and this is happening in the middle of the night. I mean, we've been through this with the police and everything. This is happening after 11 o'clock at night. And you don't want to have this in total darkness, because I'll tell you, what's happened at Washington is we're now going to put up cameras, But they're expensive.
This wouldn't be
There
total darkness. You're only
There-
talking about the front of the building.
There are streetlights in the middle of the blocks around
Right,
here.
right, but that doesn't keep
It's
these.
not an abandoned building.
These, well, I know,
Right.
but neither, you know, we have just had way too much vandalism, and that's something for you to consider.
Got way too many
You bet.
lights out
Thanks,
front.
Shirley. Thanks, Mary.
Shut a couple of them off.
Okay, anything else for the good of the cause? Stand adjourned at 9:58.